It will be mine. Oh, yes. It will be mine.
My name is Wayne Campbell. I live in Aurora, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. Excellent.
And when you're touring and not making money touring, you're not making any money. So you can't have a house, so you've got to pay your rent, your bills. It's the worst thing, is just to not make any money and go home with nothing in your pocket.
I've had plenty of Joe jobs.
It's just naff to get home and have nothing to pay for what you need to pay for while you were away.
Yeah.
So you have to work as much as you can in between touring.
Nothing I'd call a career.
So you get any job you can. The other problem you have is you have to quit so many jobs that nobody wants to hire you. It's like you go for an interview and they'll just say, oh yeah, I see you've quit like 10 jobs in the past 3 years.
Okay, I still live with my parents, which I admit is both bogus and sad.
Why is this? Oh, well, I'm in a band, I go on tour quite a lot. So you're going to go away within a month then? Yeah, probably. All right, we're not going to hire you then.
And I still know how to party.
It was an old van that used to deliver flowers, and it was falling apart, and the brakes started to fail by the end of the tour, so it was like really dangerous. It was so dangerous, and all of our shows got canceled, and so we would show up to the show and they'd be like, oh, we don't need you today, and we're like, we just drove like 200 miles, what's the deal? You know, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, we don't need you.
The number one mistake that bands make is to think that they can outsmart a system.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently.
Pay all of these people to facilitate different aspects of our career.
Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
Somehow we can outsmart the pure mathematics of that and keep our heads above water.
Sorry you feel that way, but basically it's the nature of the beast.
And that system exists to support itself. It doesn't exist to support the bands. So that's the biggest sort of business mistake that bands can make, is to think that they can just sort of jump into this system and somehow avoid what appears to be pure mathematics.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out.
If you're not doing it because you love music, then you're selling out. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what your thing is. For us, it's like we love this band, we love this music. If it's ever stopped being fun and we kept playing, we'd be selling out. We would be selling ourselves short.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
One of the things that I hate the most in records, when you hear a record or you see a movie or you read a book or whatever, is when you can see them trying, that you're impressed. I don't want to impress anyone. I don't mind if no one's impressed. I just want to know that I liked it and I expressed it.
Look, you can stay here in the big leagues and play by the rules, or you can go back to the farm club in Aurora. It's your choice.
Yes, and it's the choice of a new generation.
I would sit in my room and listen to records for hours and hours. I want to be like that. Those are my heroes, you know? And so I discovered that also then I had an ear for music and I could kind of pick up instruments and learn them. And I started writing songs and that seemed to come somewhat naturally. So I was excited. I was like, this, I can do this. Much to my surprise and disappointment, that does not make you happy. Instead, when Jesus came into my life, he put everything into perspective and I saw for the first time what music really is. Yes, it's for our enjoyment, but is intended to be an expression of His glory, of His glory.
You are tuned in to God's Property Radio. Here are your hosts, Sam and Dan.
All right, well, I go by Dan. Yeah, Sam's not here today. You may have noticed for the intro of my episode, Sam did it and the outro without me, and we're going to do the same thing here. Partially because we like to talk about our guests and what we really appreciated, and I don't like to talk about myself. That way I have a big enough problem with pride, so I convinced Sam to let me do it this way. So I'll talk about Sam and you know, toot his horn a little. Anyway, so yeah, no, it was a really great episode, and we'll get to that in a minute. First, I would like to say thank you for the 2 reviews we received on iTunes. To whoever that was, we really do appreciate that. And to everyone else, if you are listening through iTunes, please feel free to go ahead and give us a review. You know, we'd love to hear from you. Also, on our website, I'd like to give a shout out to Jess, who commented on my episode. Thank you, Jess, for listening. It is encouraging to hear that people are listening and that they're being blessed by the ministry that Sam and I are trying to do here, and that God is using it in people's lives. As far as your question goes about FEMA camps, my experience with FEMA is they do diddly squat. They drive around in the cars with a FEMA sign and some papers that allow them to go in, sit there, and then drive back out. And it's very frustrating to someone like me who likes to be on the ground. I think that once a disaster hits, you should have volunteers on the ground no later than 48 hours cleaning up. But, that's not how the government works. I mean, it takes Salvation Army really 3 weeks to get fully mobilized. And that's a personal pet peeve of mine. But FEMA does nothing. As far as FEMA camps, I haven't really researched it. I think with your encouragement there, I will start to take a look into it. And, you never know. Maybe we'll have a discussion about FEMA camps. Maybe we can find a former FEMA worker who would talk to us. Who knows? You can pray about it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not really going to talk a lot about the episode at this time. I think we should just jump right into it. So here we go, guys.
This discussion is under the blood covenant of Yahshua, explicitly without prejudice and under reserve.
I was born in a Christian family. My mother could conceive but could not carry a child for more than 3 months. She lost 3 babies before me.
Wow.
And one in between my sister and I.
This.
Yeah, it was her uterus, something like just wasn't, I think it was like the lining wasn't strong enough or whatever, for whatever reason. So anyway, my mother, Daniel, you've met my mother.
Yes.
And she's an extremely driven woman.
Yes.
She's a go-getter.
It does also explain why she so dearly holds her children close, though.
Yes. When she wants to do something, she goes and does it. And she figured out a way. So check this out. This is more that you don't know. I'm pretty against the medical realm.
Yeah. I'd say safe to say we both are.
Yeah, we both share the same sentiment, I think. Well, the irony of this whole thing, of my testimony here is I'm doing this show where we're talking about vaccines and everything, but check this out. My mom took fertility drugs to have me. So I shouldn't even be here if it weren't for drugs and the medical establishment. She took this drug called Clomid. And I haven't done my research on it, but I think if I do enough research, I could build a case for why I'm so screwed up. No,
it's not my sin nature. It was the drugs.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the drugs. But anyways, so yeah, it's kind of ironic because as much as I like to pick on the medical profession, I have the medical profession to thank for my existence in some way.
Yeah.
In some minimal way.
I think about it as God allowed it. He chose to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's funny because I really don't think without it I'd be here. I hate to say that because I'm vehemently opposed to a lot of what the medical establishment puts out here for us. So
that's such a weird thought to think that these 2 kids you have.
But check this out. My sister.
Yeah.
So my mom had another miscarriage in between me and my sister. Well, my mom kept trying to have my sister and she couldn't get pregnant. So she goes off the drug. I think it was like the week after she gets pregnant. Sister, not screwed up. I'm building my case. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. So you're learning, right?
Yeah. Sam is here because of the medical community. For all of our transhumanist friends out there, yes, he is a genetically engineered human being.
I am. I'm a GM baby. So anyway, I was born in Fargo, North Dakota. And yeah, that's my heritage, the Norwegians and the Scandinavian peoples.
Cold-loving freaks.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
A lot of farmers. And anyway, so Fargo, we lived in a trailer park. My dad couldn't get a job washing dishes at a local restaurant because he was too overqualified because he had a business management degree 4-year. They wouldn't even hire him.
Your dad is
My dad has a business management degree and he never used it.
Until now.
I guess technically he is a manager, yeah. But he never used it. He could never get a job in business management. He ended up working in a warehouse most of his life, and I'll get to that. But
right.
We were living like very, very frugally. We didn't have any money. My grandmother and
paycheck to paycheck kind of thing.
Both sets of my grandparents. See, my mom's from a family of 6 children, one of 6, and then my dad has a brother. Now, my grandparents on my dad's side live on a farm, or lived on a farm. My grandfather is no longer alive, but my grandmother is, and she lives on this farm in northern Minnesota, about an hour and a half from Manitoba. So they were nearby. My other grandparents lived in Christine, which is a little town outside Fargo, and they owned a Christian film library. My grandfather was a pastor for many years, but was never successful at being a pastor. So they started a Christian film library, got all those movies. This is actual film. Like, they're distributing the big square filmed, like the circular
like
films.
The reels.
The real films. Like, they were sending those out, and then VHS came out and killed their market.
Okay, I get it. Yep.
So anyway, that's what they did. They did, like, Focus on the Family, a lot of different movies like that. I have a pretty good knowledge of all those old school Christian movies. But anyway, so I grew up around my grandparents, very connected to both sides, especially my mother's side. So anyway, we were living, like I said, very humbly and frugally. My mom could barely afford to feed us, let alone feed themselves. And my grandmother would watch me during the day, while my dad, sometimes he was just trying to find odd jobs or whatever. So he'd go out and find odd jobs. My parents would work during the day, and I'd be with my grandmother. So my oldest aunt, she was my favorite aunt. She spent all the time with me. And one day she comes in to my grandmother's house. She calls my name. She says, "Sam." And I'm sitting on the floor facing the opposite way that she is walking in, completely other way. And she keeps calling my name. She is getting gradually louder and closer to me, but I'm not answering. So my grandmother pops her head out, like, "What's going on?" And she walks closer to me. And all of a sudden, my aunt gets in front of me. And I don't have any recollection of this. I must have been 1, or thereabouts. And my aunt, as soon as she gets in front of me, my eyes light up, like, "Auntie," and I smiled, and I think I said "Auntie" or something, but I couldn't hear her. She feels my head. I was 105 degrees. I lost all my hearing. They took me to the doctor. They rushed me. They put me on ice, and for an entire week, I didn't have hearing. I didn't get my hearing back for a week, but I could have had it gone forever. You think about, like, the severity of that.
Yeah.
And this is one of those.
Temperature that high in a young child like that, surprisingly not lethal for you.
Right. Coupled together with my fever and my Clomid, I'm pretty screwed up. No, I'm just kidding around. Anyway, just trying to build towards something here. After, I got better and got my hearing back to square one, or back to, progress. My sister was born somewhere around that time, and probably not long after my sister was born, we really could barely make it. And I think it was super stressful for my parents.
Young marriage, 2 young children, no money.
Yeah, trailer park.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom of the barrel. I wouldn't say